Well, hello, school counselors and school counselors to be. Thank you guys so much for coming to my channel, The Inspiring School Counselor. And today, you guys, we're going to be getting into just the role of the school counselor when it comes to attendance. So I'm excited to get into this with you guys. Hopefully, you guys are excited too. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. All right, let's get into it. So when you're looking at attendance, it is a big issue amongst majority of schools around the world. And so with that being said, when you have students that are coming in late a lot or they're just not showing up to school at all, it can hinder their learning development. They're not able to really build those social skills like they really need to with other peers. And it can just affect their whole school career. And so with that being said, it's important that when you see that going on, you do the necessary things that is needed to kind of get them on track and raise awareness to the parents and the guardians. Now, I will say this, when you have a student that is missing a lot of days or they're tardy a lot, that can also be an indicator that there's something a little bit more serious going on. And you as a school counselor is one that should be doing the investigation and kind of just figuring out, okay, what's going on. And I will say this, you will not be doing the investigation all by yourself, but of course you will have like the data clerk and the principal and the teacher also involved as well. And if needed be the SRO and the truancy officer. So let's get into some of those serious things that it could actually be letting you know when they're missing an exceptional amount of days. So it can either be physical or sexual abuse that's happening and taking place. Now, I will say this is not the only indicator for physical and sexual abuse. Of course, there's other things that you can pay attention to as far as with the student's behavior and everything. But if it is that this student is being abused, and it's telling, maybe they have marks or something that is in visible areas of their body. Sometimes they might be kept home until those areas are not as visible because the parents or the guardians, they want to be, make sure they're not caught. And so that is something that could be going on. And it's definitely something that you shouldn't just be like, oh, well, I can just rule that out. You just never know. And so with that being said, that is something that you can keep in the back of your mind. Another thing it can be an indicator of is just, family hardships. Maybe the family is homeless. They maybe got kicked out of their house, foreclosure, who knows what it is. Maybe they lost everything due to a fire, their house being getting caught on fire. You just never know what is going on. And so with that being said, and you doing the necessary investigations that you need to do and involving the people that you need to involve, you're able to figure out, okay, this student is homeless. This is why this is happening. It can also be a lack of transportation. Maybe they had 2 cars at one point and now they're only down to 1. And so they can't get the kids to school like they need to. Maybe it's just a lack in finances, period. And so they don't have enough money to really take the kids to school. And maybe the parents never thought about using the bus transportation that is provided. And so that is something that you, once again, can keep in mind. And then in keeping those things in mind, then you're able to come up with the necessary resources needed to help them. Another thing is you can just ask, is there something going on at school that the kid don't want to come? Maybe there's bullying involved. Maybe they're being mistreated by the teacher or by others around them. Maybe there is like a learning delay and so they don't feel like they're smart enough. I actually have dealt with a student that does not like coming to school because they think that they're dumb. They think they're not smart and they feel like they're not caught up with all the other kids. And so they just don't come to school. And of course, I do my job in talking to the parent and we get truancy officer involved and doing all these things to kind of try to help this parent to, unction this student to come. But it's always like a big fight, throwing and kicking and yelling and screaming. And so with that being said, but this is something that is going on. I'm sure that there are other things that can be involved with them always being tardy, always being absent. And so the list can go on. And if you can add to this list, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. But in knowing that there are different things that could be a reason why they are absent or tardy, then you as a school counselor have to ask sometimes the hard questions. And then when you do find out, let's say if the student is getting physically or is sexually abused, then you might have to get DCS involved. You might have to get CPS involved. If they're dealing with family hardships like homelessness or lack of transportation or maybe a financial crisis, then you might have to reach out to like a family resource center or other churches to see if they can come together to help this family so that the kids can, be successful. They can come to school and they can learn like they need to. If it is that it's dealing with maybe the student feels like they're not smart enough or there's bullying going on, then you can get the teacher involved. You can, try to see if there needs to be a 504 in place for the student. You can see if the student needs an IEP. You can see if there's other options where they can get tutoring to help them. Also, when it comes down to the bullying, you can do the necessary investigations and talk to whoever it is involved and just get down to the bottom so it does not happen no more. That is why we as school counselors have to make sure that we don't look at it as, oh, Johnny's not here today and they've been out for 22 days. I guess they're on vacation. You can't just look at it as just normal. But as a school counselor, you should raise a red flag, and then you should come up with ways of how you should approach this. I know that for me, and I know you guys have heard me talked about it many times on my channel, but whenever I had a student that didn't come in for an exceptional amount of days, I will let my SRO know, and then we'll do a well check. Okay, the SRO will go out to the house and they'll do a well check, making sure everything is okay. The truancy officer will get involved as well, and they will go to the houses. I have even went to the houses with me. It was me and another teacher would go to check on our students, especially our students are the itty bitties. So, we just have to make sure that we are making sure that they are okay. And so with that being said, sometimes you might have to take that extra step to ensure the safety of your students. Now, there are appropriate and inappropriate activities for school counselors when it comes down to attendance. And if you do not have this book, once again, I encourage you guys to get this. Y'all know this is not no sponsored video. I just really love this book. I have the green one, like I shared with you guys before, and I also have this one. But in here, you have the side that says appropriate activities for school counselors, and then the other side says inappropriate activities for school counselors. And I'm going to read the appropriate activities first. So it says providing counseling to students who are tardy or absent. That's what we should be doing as school counselors when it comes down to absenteeism, okay? We should be trying to meet with these students, forming small groups or individual counseling for students so that we can motivate them to want to come to school. But we should not be the ones signing excuses for students who are tardy or absent, okay? We should not be the one putting it into the computer. That's not something that we should do. That is for the data clerk to do. Another thing that it says, appropriate activities for school counselors is advocating for students at individual education plan meetings, student study teams, and school attendance review boards as necessary. All right. Now, I actually am involved in being a part of the attendance review boards. I know I shared that with you guys before. I do tier 2 meetings. I shared about that before with you guys. Now, I might be actually stepping outside of my role as a school counselor. And that is for me to advocate for myself as a school counselor, to let my principal know, hey, is there any way that we can probably give this particular duty to someone else? However, before I got the job, the school counselor before was doing it. And so it just so happened to fall into my lap. Now, there are certain things that you might have to do as a school counselor that might not be school counselor related. But as long as it's not something that's really taking you away from doing your direct and indirect services for your students, as well as allowing you to plan programs and things like that, then you will be okay. But one of the things that we should not be doing as school counselors is coordinating school attendance review boards. That is not for us to do. So it's important for you to understand the things that you should be doing as a school counselor when it comes down to attendance, and the things that you should not be doing. Now, currently, for attendance, I am not the one that put in, like, whenever the students are tardy or absent and they might bring in notes. I do not put that into the system at all. However, I am the one that takes the absent occurrence report. I make sure that I print that out, and then I would see all the list of students that have missed 3 or more days. If the students have missed 3 or more days, then I am the one that has to set up tier 2 meetings in order to talk to the parents about, okay, your student has missed this amount of days. Do you have any notes that you need to bring in, and have them sign that contract? If it is that they've missed more days after we had that tier 2 meeting, then I go to the board meeting with the truancy officer and the parent, and we handle it there. However, I'm not the one that runs that. The truancy officer and whoever else is involved runs that as well. If that doesn't help, then I also go to court on behalf of my students, and sometimes I have even stood before the judge and had to talk on behalf of my students and how many days they've missed and the things that we have done to reach out to them so that the judge can make their decision based off of that as well. And of course, there's other things that plays in part too. So those are the things that I do. And like I said, that's really not, some of that stuff I should not be doing as a school counselor. But however, there's some times where you might have to be a part of some fair share responsibilities. And this just so happened to be one of the things that I have to do. So let's get into some ways that you can impact attendance in a positive way. So the first thing that you need to do is look at the school-wide data. Because when you're looking at the school-wide data for attendance, then you're able to see, okay, those students that are chronically absent, those students that might be on the verge of being chronically absent, and just those students that are doing quite well with their attendance. From there, you also are able to provide school-wide lessons to address the whole school, all the students, and talk to them about the importance of attendance, the importance of coming to school. Because hopefully with you talking to the students and they're getting it into their ears, they can feel it in their spirit, hopefully they will try to work hard to come to school. Now, I'll let you guys know, especially when you're dealing with students that do not have a driver's license, can't drive. I'm in a primary setting, so my kids can't drive. A lot of it has to do with the parents. However, when you're dealing with students that can drive, they drive themselves to school, then hopefully that is able to motivate them to get them to come. Another thing that you can do is school-wide incentives, okay? So like for me, I have a school store and they earn these school bucks. And so if they come to school Monday through Friday and didn't miss a day, they're able to earn 10 school bucks, and it can go towards whenever the school store comes, they can go and they buy from the school store. So that's a motivation to get them to come to school. That's an easy $10 that they can earn by the end of the week. And once again, it just keeps them motivated to want to come to school. Another thing that you can do is do attendance celebrations, okay? Make it a big thing. I mean, that is something that could, once again, get students involved, and they can just feel good about, hey, if I come to school, I'm able to be a part of this party, or I'm able to do that. So that is something you can do as well. You can also provide small groups. So maybe you can pull students that are chronically absent. You can also pull students that are on the verge of being chronically absent, and you can kind of just develop this small group to help them to feel motivated to come to school, okay? Another thing that you can do is individual counseling, okay? You can work on a goal, okay? If you come to school 3 days out the week, then you can do this, or you can get this, or we will make sure that this is, ready for you, okay? So doing individual counseling, trying to just figure out what's going on, why they don't want to come to school, and then do some solution focus, brief therapy, and try to come up with a goal that they can work towards, that can once again motivate them to want to be there. Another thing that you can also do is provide a presentation to parents and families. The best time to really do this is probably like in the beginning of the year, when it's like open house, when the parents and the students are walking around the school trying to figure out where things are, because hopefully those parents that really need to hear it is there. Hopefully, then you're able to let them know the importance of attendance, and also repercussions that can take place if they're not getting their kids to school. All right, so that is something you could do, even if you don't do it at the beginning of the year like open house. However, you can put in place like, you know, presentations throughout the year, so you can do that as well. I think they call it coffee with the counselor. You can actually do talking about attendance and try to get parents to come out that way. You can send newsletters out through the students to get to the parents. That is something you can do. You can also hang up posters, okay, around the school so that the students are forever seeing the importance of attendance. You can also post things on the school website as well as social media. That's another way that parents and students can see the importance of attendance and why they need to come to school as well. You can also come up with games like a drawing or something. Every 9 weeks, you can do a drawing with the students. If they are there and they haven't missed, you know, so many days, then they're able to, you know, get something out of the treasure box or something like that. And you can also reach out to businesses and churches to see if they will donate items to be put into this treasure box or whatever you want to call it, so that the kids can have something to look forward to. So those are some of the things that I have mentioned, 8 things that you can do as a school counselor to help motivate our students to want to come to school and just raise the awareness of, you know, being to school in attendance and try not to be chronically absent. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I thank you guys so much for your time. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. All right, I'll see you guys next time.